Welcome back. So in the last video, we kind of challenged the idea that the current models of confidence are possible. They can be achieved in short periods of time, but there's just so many uncontrollable factors that they're just open to being destroyed. And we want to design something better. So the current definitions of confidence, they're not resilient to bad luck or significant changes because of those uncontrollable factors. Someone trying to live by that definition is doomed to fail. However, there is some helpful information coming through those schools of thought that we can use. We can see that confidence is an emotional response to our own behavior. That's good to know. A feeling of certainty in yourself that can be created by what you do. That's good to know. And we can see that having some form of mastery is important, provided that that mastery contributes to confidence without confidence being reliant on it. Okay. So when we think about this, there's two schools of psychology that immediately come to mind when I did my research, and I'm quite familiar with both of these skills from my own training and education. And they both focus on self-confidence building as being a way of managing the way your mind works and then how you react with behavior. There's a clear pattern there for both of these without being attached to uncontrollable factors. So first we have cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and they focus on a range of interventions both for your mind and for how you behave. They do cognitive training to manage your thinking, mindfulness, manage your emotional processes, and then sort of systematic exposure and problem solving to overcome fear and to give yourself a sense of certainty that you can handle the unknown. CBT is also commonly referred to as the therapeutic version of the Stoicism philosophy. And then on the other hand, we have acceptance and commitment therapy, commonly called ACT, and that they have a model of 6 core principles that you follow. And again, it focuses both on mind and behavior. So you have mind things like mindfulness, management of thought and decision making, and then combine this with what's called valued living, which is taking actions of integrity, which we'll explore as a concept soon. So from these fields of psychology, definition of confidence starts to emerge, involving management of your thought processes and translating that into behavior. And none of that's reliant on feelings or results or approval from others. Okay, it's about controlling what you can control as much as humanly possible, and learning to manage your reaction is the key theme coming through. So whereas in the other models of confidence, you're largely trying to manage things out of your control, like results and happiness and all that kind of shit, with ACT and CBT, it's about managing how you react to life happening to you, that inner process of reaction and the outer process of behavioral reaction. So we've got all these ideas now as to what might be a more helpful version of confidence, a kind of a baseline that we can build on. And we've also got some things that confidence definitely isn't. And we can test our design of a new model of confidence against these factors. So things like happiness, certainty, success, validation, power, approval, all of these things cannot be a factor in confidence, or otherwise confidence becomes too easy to disrupt. So let's have a look at each of these to kind of define what confidence is not and what confidence must be able to survive and thrive against. Okay, so let's look at happiness. Happiness, we only become aware of thoughts and emotions after they already occur to us. The starting point for any thought or emotion happens subconsciously. You'll notice that a mood happens to you, a thought pops into your mind. We don't get to control that process. Okay, so we're not agents in the creation of how we feel. These processes are very temperamental, your state of health, the outside environment, fucking temperature, other people's behavior, all of it triggers off various thoughts and emotions, and there's very little you can do about that. There are some things you can do about it, but not 100% control. So you're occasionally going to experience negative thoughts and painful emotions, so confidence must be able to survive these drops in mental and emotional processes. So you must be able to be confident and unhappy, okay? You must be able to think and feel anything and yet still underneath that be confident in yourself at a deeper level. So some examples: you must be able to be confident while you're stressed about your work, and confident while you're grieving for a lost one. Okay, so that will just plant a seed in your mind, these kind of examples of what confident must be to be completely unbreakable and untouchable from the outside. The next one is certainty. A lot of people talk about confidence and certainty as though they're the same thing. Yet on a long enough timeline, you will definitely face a situation where you feel uncertain, right? And the only way to avoid uncertainty is to hide away from the world and never change or never challenge yourself and never grow. And that might sound like fun, but unfortunately the world's going to move on without you. I mean, look at how quickly technology evolves. If you don't keep up by challenging yourself, you're going to be left behind. You're going to really struggle. So regular exposure to uncertainty is important for your survival, and I would argue is actually a way to build confidence, which we'll talk about later. So confidence must allow for uncertainty. You must be able to be confident and uncertain at the same time. So that's things like if you show up to a dance class by yourself and you don't know even what door to go through and who to speak to, you must still have confidence in yourself to be able to go through there. Or to be in a crisis, like a hurricane or hostage situation, to be very scared and unsure of what to do, and yet still be confident in yourself to get through that. Okay. The next factor was success. Now, nobody in the history of humankind has a 100% success rate. You are going to fail. Even if you've been very successful for a long time, eventually your success becomes your baseline. So what you were proud of yesterday becomes what you expect of yourself today. You notice that effect? Every win just moves the kind of goalposts. So it's only a matter of time before you fail to be better today than you were yesterday. So failure is guaranteed. You can't control your competition. There's always someone out there who can beat you. You can't control health factors. There's always something that can happen to you that lowers your performance. And there's many other factors in success that you can't control. So success and confidence cannot be dependent on each other. You're going to be beaten one day, so you must also be able to be confident whilst being unsuccessful. You must be resilient to failure. You must become anti-fragile. So confidence cannot be damaged by losing. And so you must be able to be confident and get rejected for that date. You must be able to be confident and go through a bankruptcy. We need some form of confidence that survives all of those setbacks. And then lastly, we've got the concept of other people, validation, power, approval, the things that only other people can give us. These are all too easily removed. It's only a matter of time before somebody who was once the king gets pulled down by the crowd. We've all seen this happen. A model of confidence that's resilient and self-created cannot be put in the hands of other people. They're too unreliable. You can influence people, but they can still always hate you at any given time, and you won't be able to stop that happen. I mean, Martin Luther King still got assassinated. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how much of a good person you are, someone's going to fucking hate you. So you must be able to be confident while limited. Okay, so if you're in prison or you're broke, you must still be able to be confident if no one else has kind of given you lots of options. You must be able to be confident and unloved. So if you get dumped or you move to a new city with no friends, or you're just going through a period of time when no one's giving you approval or validation, your confidence needs to be able to survive that. You must be confident and powerless sometimes. You might be in a situation where you can have no influence, maybe even be a slave of some kind, and yet still be confident in yourself. Epictetus was a well-known Stoic leader. He's one of the sort of top names in Stoicism, and he obviously had high self-confidence. I mean, he was the tutor for the Roman, emperor when he was a child, and yet he was a slave. So self-confidence and slavery can go hand in hand if you've got the right mindset. Now, I doubt that there's any level of confidence that's 100% immune to the effect of outside influences. In the next video, I'll talk a little bit about the 70-30 rule. There's always going to be a 30% impact from the world that you just can't stop yourself being affected by. But a really highly confident person, we can speculate that they are largely unaffected by these things that we just spoken about. That they've found a way of building confidence where every time something bad happens, they get more confident. all right, that anti-fragile type concept by Nassim Taleb. So we want to look at how your self-worth can remain intact when all these inevitably negative things will happen to you, and hopefully how you can actually build confidence from these things happening to you. So the question becomes, the question that we're going to try and answer in the next video: what can you control that would create confidence in all of those situations? That will be the answer to unbreakable self-confidence. I'll see you in the next video to try and answer that question.